You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me.
Hi, AP.
Hi, Murph.
I have got to give a shout out to you as the marketing guru at RAGBRAI, but also to all the towns on the route this year, because they have been nailing it with the social media posts, with the funny memes, and so many of them are like really getting into it. So kudos to you and them.
Well, I say thank you on behalf of all of us. I know they've been working really hard, and it's been so much fun working with them all. They have really put their hearts into it this year. It's going to be a fun RAGBRAI.
And you can just tell that they're also like getting to know each other, you know, the towns with other towns.
Yeah, they've definitely embraced that. I try to encourage them to interact with each other on social media, because then it really seems more like a day of RAGBRAI instead of just disjointed individual towns. And, you know, it's just more fun that way. So it seems like they've really taken that to heart. And it's been just, like I said, so much fun watching them start to grow their pages and start to reveal their plans for the ride.
Yeah. And okay, so I got to tell you about one post that I was like, oh my God. And then I realized what it really meant. And then I thought, oh my God, that's really funny.
Okay.
But it was May City. Okay. You know, we all remember May City from last year.
Yeah.
They're still posting stuff, and they freaked me out recently because they made a big long post like, we regret that we will not be joining RAGBRAI this year. We're not going to be on the route. And I'm like, what? Who bailed this year? And then I'm like, oh, May City.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hilarious. And if you may remember, they are the smallest town that was on the route last year. So small but mighty. That guy's still going strong. And you know what? That just means he's more likely to be on the route next time we go through that part of the state.
Yeah, yeah. And while we're doing shout outs, I got to give another quick shout out to us, me and you, AP.
Okay. Yeah. Love that.
So listeners, you may or may not know this, but AP and I have been working on a one-day women's ride that will be taking place in eastern Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. And it's something that we're just doing for fun. It's totally separate from work. This is fun.
Yep.
And it's called the Pedals and Pedals Women's Ride. It's happening on May 9th, and it starts in Cedar Rapids. So you know I'm going to be there.
Well, of course, me too.
Yeah. And it's, you know, we just love working on a women's only event. We think women are deserved to be celebrated, and we're going to have fun doing it along the way. So Murph just posted a podcast on the Murphology podcast with all the details. So go on over there and check it out.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so today on the Just Go Bike Pod, we continue our series of speaking to the different community bike shops in Iowa. And today is my interview with Evan, who is from the Chain Reaction Bike Hub that's located right here in my own community of Cedar Rapids.
Yay, in your own backyard. It's a hometown bike shop.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and as a reminder, RAGBRAI's supporting Iowa's community bike shops this year as our community fund beneficiary. So all the funds that we raise during registration will be directed to the 6 community bike shops in Iowa. And you can find all about that on ragbrai.com/gives. That's, you can donate during registration, but if you already registered and didn't donate and still want to, or if you just want to go and learn more, you can find a link there at that ragbrai.com/gives, and you can donate, learn about the shops, link to their pages, things like that. So it's all there.
All of these interviews have been so fun because, you know, everyone that I've talked to has such great passion for their community and, of course, bikes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just been really fun getting to know these community bike shops.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see how each facility operates. They're all just a little bit different. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have them all individually on the podcast, because while they're all bike shops, that's one of the things they share in common. They're all just so different and doing so many cool things for the communities in the state of Iowa.
That's right. All right. Well, let's get to my interview with Evan from CR Bike Hub.
Roll it.
Well, we've got another bike shop on. Everybody, welcome Evan. How are you, Evan?
I'm so good, Murph. How are you?
I'm very good. And you are coming live from the Chain Reaction Bike Hub, which is located right in my own hometown. So a warm welcome to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. And I just spoiled it, but will you tell the listeners where you live or where you used to live and how you describe the bike culture?
I guess, right here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I think the bike culture here, it's just, spending the last maybe 12 or 15 years on the West Coast, and kind of soaking in those bike culture vibes. It's very cool to move back to the Midwest and really see things taking off here. Yeah, I just think the local community especially is just, it's super rich and vibrant. And I think about, just how diverse it is, and how at any given moment, 12 months out of the year, there's somebody on a bike somewhere. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. So, I'm so happy to be back in the Midwest, and just soaking in this culture for sure.
Yeah. And I think, a little bit of bragging about Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or Eastern Iowa in general, you can come to Cedar Rapids and you can do gravel because, we're rural, we're in Iowa. You can do paved trails, you can do road. You can also do some pretty intense mountain biking in our area. So if you guys out there listening have never been to Cedar Rapids, Evan and I would love to welcome you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a sneaky, cool bike spot. I'm glad you brought up the mountain biking too, because I do think that it's kind of a hidden gem. Maybe we're totally spoiling it for the folks here locally, and like inviting the rest of the country here to Cedar Rapids. But I really do think that, like, Midwest wise, I don't know if there's a better spot that has, 3, 4, 5 different mountain bike tracks that, just cater to multiple disciplines and skill levels. It's very cool. Up and coming, certainly, but just super cool that it's right here locally. So
yeah, there was a day I went with a group of guys and we went to the first mountain bike area, did a little bit of single track, and then everybody said, all right, throw your bikes in your cars. We're going to go to the next mountain bike area. And I thought that was super wacky. Like, why would we go to multiple single track areas? Why wouldn't we just ride the same tracks? And so we get to the next one, and sure enough, some of the bikers we saw at the first stop were also there. So it must be like a undercover or underground, circuit where everybody goes to all the different tracks. So
I think you're right.
Yeah. So with that said, do you have a favorite place if you're going to get on your bike, whether it's in Cedar Rapids or someplace in the world?
I mean, I don't think that there's better riding than some of the rural roads just right here in LIII County. Just some primo gravel roads. I spent a lot of time a few years ago. I lived in Des Moines and Ames area and kind of cut my teeth on all gravel roads. This was like back in the, early 2000s. And yeah, it's just very cool to see that scene like really blowing up now, certainly in Iowa. But yeah, I think some of the gravel roads here, I can be out my door and I can be on a gravel road in maybe 10 minutes. And yeah, just what a cool thing to just to go from urban riding to rural riding and just have some world-class gravel in this area. So yeah, I would say if there's a favorite, sort of a discipline or even just area to ride, it's certainly LIII County gravel for sure.
And what a great segue. I can feel the passion for bikes that you have. And here we are talking about the Chain Reaction Bike Hub. So for people who maybe aren't familiar with the area, will you tell us a little bit about CR Bike Hub?
Yeah, I think out of the 6 bike shops or the 6 community shops, we are certainly the youngest. So we were established back in 2023. So it was kind of a joint project between various stakeholders, but I think some of the primary ones were certainly, LIII County Public Health, the City of Cedar Rapids, LIII County Solid Waste. There's numerous others. Local bike shops were big supporters. We had our very first meeting at Ahsoka Outfitters. So just lots of local energy filling this room back in September of 2023. And just trying to learn and kind of understand why Cedar Rapids didn't have a resource like this.
Yeah.
And we were close partners with the Iowa City Bike Library. Audrey's a dear friend of mine, and her and I had been on a ride actually earlier that summer, and she'd mentioned the idea. And so I think we spent the next, 75 or 80 miles kind of hashing out how and why it should work here in Cedar Rapids. And through just the excitement and the enthusiasm of the community, some financial support through the county, we were able to get into a space in December of 2023, and then we opened up our doors 2024. It's been May of 2024 where we officially opened our doors to the public. So we'll celebrate 2 years of serving the community here this coming May, which seems much longer than it actually is, but in some ways it seems like we're still so young. It's this weird, kind of dynamic. But either way, just so grateful, so humbled, so excited to be able to serve this community. And right out of the gate, we saw the need and we were able to fill that need. And I think as you do more and more of that, as you start to serve the community, as people start to see you serving the community, they want to be a part of that, right? And I think that really does show how passionate, how giving this cycling community is, and just the community in general, certainly. But I think it's just obvious that if you're doing something bike related, the bike folks are coming out of the woodwork, and they're helping you out. And so, just overwhelmed by the support. We continue to see it up to present day. So.
So I've been in CR Bike Hub quite a few times, but will you kind of give the listeners a high level of when you walk in the door, what are they going to see?
Yeah, I mean, it's a giant warehouse space. So listeners, if you can envision just a giant warehouse, it's huge. It's massive. I think it's like just shy of 9,000 square feet, but it's one big room, right? And the whole front of the space is our whole retail area. It's sort of morphed and evolved into something that's really cool. I remember this must have been last year, and I was chatting with one of our volunteers, and we had just done some sprucing up in that space, the sort of front area, and we both kind of stepped back, and I was like, gosh, this kind of actually looks like a bike shop now. It was just very it was exciting to see this giant open space kind of evolve into a bike shop. But we have our retail space up front. We have 4 or 5 workbenches that our volunteer mechanics are working at. Very soon, we're going to have 3 more benches that the public can actually check out through kind of our community bench project. Yeah, so we're super excited about that. And if you go behind the scenes, so the second half of the building is all of our donated bikes, our donated parts, everything kind of getting prepped and ready to find its way to the retail floor, or in some cases, we have a big sustainability initiative that we run as well. So some of that ends up getting recycled. But I invite anybody, if you're here local or if you're traveling through, swing on by and check it out. It's a cool space.
And I want to get into some of the, programs and services that you offer, but who would you say for the most part that you serve? Like, are you focused on kids, on adults, on, people that drive cars that need to pay attention to bikes, or who is it that you serve? Yeah,
I think yes to all those things, Murph. I think accessibility is just a huge pillar of the hub, and I think we really are proud of the way that we're able to serve our underserved communities here locally. We have a big kids bike drive initiative that we do over the holidays, so certainly kids are on our minds. Lots of great partnerships with local schools and other resource organizations. So I think we're really looking at how do we make bikes, how do we make active transportation more accessible to this community. And so that really is, it's a broad net that we can cast, right? Because there's those of folks that maybe it's not as accessible to walk into a bike shop and purchase a bike, right? Like my day job is working as a mechanic in a bike shop, so I can see one side of the community walk in and be able to do that, but there's a whole other side that can't do that. So we're able to fill that gap in a really cool way. And we see a lot of folks that are coming in that are buying a bike or that are maybe dropping off donations that end up becoming a volunteer too. So it's very cool to kind of see, like, no pun intended, but the cycle that kind of goes into that. So, yeah.
I would say pun intended on that one.
All right. Oh man.
Okay, so you mentioned, about the workbench that you're working towards getting it to be able to be open to the public. But what other programs and services would you like to tell us about?
Yeah, again, with this whole theme of accessibility and sustainability as well, we offer 3 free bike programs. So any volunteer that spends 12 hours at the shop with us can earn a bike, and we'll help them fix it up. We'll buddy them up with one of our volunteer mechanics, and they'll leave with a working bike. We have a project called A Cycle for Change, where we partnered with various local resource organizations who will send us clients, and we will match them with a bike and get them rolling. That project is really dedicated to folks who need transportation to get to work or to get to maybe a medical appointment, to the VA, some of these things. And so we're able to provide them with a free bike. And then, of course, our free kids bike program. That's a big one where if you got a kid and they need a bike, you should give us a holler because we've got them. So it's that easy. But those are the free kids bike programs. But certainly you mentioned it, and this is, and maybe I'm spilling the beans here a little bit, but we are very soon going to be launching a community bench program where members of the community can come in, they can bring their bikes in, and our volunteer mechanics will walk them through how to do kind of basic maintenance on their bikes. So that's project modeled heavily after a similar program with the Iowa City Bike Library and various other community shops, but we're excited to have that as an option for our folks as well. And we also have a massive sustainability initiative too, where any of the donations that come into our shop, they either leave there in one of maybe 3 capacities. One, they're going to get resold by somebody. So, they can come in, they can purchase a bike. They either get donated out or they get recycled. And so we have a big scrapping initiative where we invite our volunteers in, the community members in, and we disassemble bikes and all that material gets recycled. So, yeah.
When I think about, you were talking about accessibility in the community. I don't know if other bigger cities offer this, but all of our city buses have bike racks on the front. And I just think that's a cool service because if people maybe need to use the bus because they don't have a vehicle, but if the bus doesn't pick them up right in front of their house, like what better way to get there than with a bicycle? So you're doing good things to, keep people in the workforce and doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, we hope so. Yeah.
Any upcoming events that you want to share?
Oh my gosh, how much time do you have? We have a full calendar. So just this week, right? I'll focus on this week and then I'll zoom out a little bit. So this week, so tomorrow, we have our volunteer night where we just invite volunteers in to spend some time in the shop along with new volunteer orientation. So anybody who's looking to volunteer, we host bi-monthly volunteer orientations where you can come in, you get a tour of the shop. And sometimes these folks will plug in right away and start helping us out. So volunteer orientation is tomorrow. Wednesday is a community workshop. I should have mentioned this when we were talking about programs, but twice, sometimes 3 times a month, we have community workshops with just kind of a rotating curriculum where myself or maybe one of the other volunteers will teach on a topic. This week just happens to be wheels, tires, and tubes. So primarily how to fix a flat tire. I think, with the weather getting nice now, folks hitting the trails, I think now is a great time to, if you need to brush up on that skill if it's new. If you've never changed a flat tire before, it's a great way to learn. And then this Saturday is our second annual, which is weird to say, but our second annual bike swap. So, so we have a bike swap that we host in our shop. And some folks have asked, I don't really understand the concept of a bike swap. And the best way that I can put it is it's sort of like a garage sale, but it's at your neighbor's house, right? Because you bring your stuff somewhere else. So, and we just happen to be that neighbor. So bring your bike stuff to our shop, register first, make sure they've got your table. And then we've invited the community in to go through your used stuff. So we've got a bike swap happening this week, but Outside of that, I think, if you go to our website, sierrabikehub.org, there are so many like events planned for the year. We've got our calendar. It's updated quite frequently because there's just new things coming up. But very soon, starting in May, actually coinciding with Bike to Work Week, this will be the third summer that our volunteers have led the Meet Me at the Market rides at a Nubo Market. So,
sure, yeah.
So anybody looking for a group ride on Thursday nights with a real, no drop, all paces crew, 6 o'clock at Nubo starting in May. We're hosting our group rides again. So super popular last year. I know that I've got volunteers that are just chomping at the bit to plan some routes and to go get ice cream and to do all kinds of other stuff. So really looking forward to that. So.
And just a quick side note, the Nubo Market is kind of a hub in the arts and cultural district, and they do a weekly night where people can come and do a group run or a group yoga class, or like you said, you are leading the group bike ride. So it's a pretty cool free offering that Nubo Market gives to the community.
Yeah, such a cool community resource there too. Yeah, to bring everybody together for some kind of activity. So super cool.
Yeah. And so you said the website was crbikehub.com or org?
.org.
.org. Okay.
Yep.
crbikehub.org. You can go there and check out all the different upcoming events. I love that you have classes too for the public.
Yeah, they've been it's just been super cool to be able to kind of offer that. In my previous life, when I wasn't a bike mechanic, I did a lot of creating learning curriculums for businesses. And so this is a way that I can kind of get back into the teaching mode a little bit and do some of that work and kind of share some of the bike knowledge too. But on any given a workshop, we've got maybe a dozen folks, and a lot of times we invite them to bring their bikes in. And that way, if we're doing some of the teaching, we can apply it right then and there to their bike, which is very cool. So we have a lot of new content kind of ready for the summer too. So super exciting. Yeah.
There's something to be said about, like, for example, let's just say a flat tire. To learn how to fix a flat tire or change a tube in a controlled environment, if you're at the hub, you've got somebody there kind of showing you how to do it. You will feel so much more confident when you're out in the wild, and you're on a bike trail and the same thing happens.
For sure. Yeah. It's kind of funny, the sort of litmus test that I'll start off with is I'll show folks tire levers and ask how many folks have these with them on a ride. And if people don't know what they are, that's usually a red flag to help them.
Right.
First of all, give them some, right? Because we have a whole box of them that we give away, but also it's sort of a good way to kind of level set people's kind of comfort level with changing a flat tire. Because if you can be the person on your ride that can perform that skill, you're kind of an asset, right? So that's certainly a skill to know.
Yeah. Both AP and I always say, if you don't know how to change a tire, you should learn. But if you haven't learned yet, at least have all the components on your bike. Have a tube or a patch kit. And like you said, the tire levels and some way to blow up that tire. Yes. And then, you can give somebody a sad face and they will hopefully help you.
Yeah, I'm sure around here it's pretty easy. I know I've given away a tube or a tire lever a few times on the trail on a ride. So I think that's just kind of that's the nature of this community. I think we're ready to help each other out. So.
Sure. So is the Chain Reaction Bike Hub volunteer powered?
100% volunteer powered. Yeah.
Wow.
So everybody that plugs in there is a volunteer. I've got to give a shout out to our volunteers and our volunteer coordinator, because the absolute heart and soul of this organization is those folks. And we've just seen this incredible uptick in our volunteer engagement, and, our volunteer orientations just continue to grow larger. And I think it's a testament, just to the work that this volunteer group is doing. They're spreading the word when they're out in the community, when they're on rides, when they're at work, they're talking to folks, they're getting them to plug in with us. And they just do some incredible work. And and we just continue to see, if you show up on a Tuesday night, just an open volunteer night, I was at the one last week, and there was over 20 people there, and they're all just volunteers,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
Like some of them are working on their own bikes. Some of them are taking care of some shop projects that we kind of have kind of set up, kind of a pre-spring shop projects. Some of them are, departing bikes. I mean, there's just all kinds of, like, the energy in that place on Tuesday nights is absolutely incredible. And so I think if anybody's interested and wants to just kind of feel what it's all about, but doesn't necessarily want to jump in feet first on maybe like a retail day, just stop in on a Tuesday night and just kind of sniff around a little bit. It's pretty amazing to see that many people helping each other out and working on stuff. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's a need as far as, getting bikes ready to either sell or give away. But then also you're feeding the hunger for people who want volunteer opportunities that are, in the bike field.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a handful of folks that are kind of our volunteer bike mechanics. So they have, I would consider them, kind of like a more advanced knowledge of how to fix a bike and do some things. And they always joke around that they get to come in and play bike shop when they're at the bike hub, because it's never, they were never a professional mechanic, but this is an opportunity for them to work on bikes and to share that knowledge with other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it creates that opportunity for those folks to maybe live out that dream a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier some of the funding that comes in from, at least when you first started the Bike Hub, but how are you funded on a continual basis?
Yeah, it's all, donations. We have a few small grants that are helping us out, and then through the sale of our used bike inventory. So luckily at this point, overhead isn't super high, but at the same time, I think in order to continue to kind of operate at this scale and to continue kind of grow our impact in the community, we're always looking for opportunities. That's why we're super grateful, to be a part of the behemoth that is RAGBRAI this year, to you kind of gain some exposure, and of course the funding is nice too. But it's with anybody who's been in the nonprofit world, it's kind of a grind sometimes to continue to look for funding sources, and we're super grateful to be in a community who sees this as an asset and is always looking for ways to plug us in with funding opportunities, be it a grant, be it just a donor or business, whatever that can look like. That's really how we keep the lights on.
That's great. And I'm assuming everybody knows, because you're not the first community bike shop to be on this podcast, but if you go to ragbrai.com and you just click on the Gives tab, that's where you'll find out about all the bike shops that RAGBRAI is focusing on this year. And when you register for the ride, which I'm going to guess most people have already registered, you have the option to donate at that time. You can go back in and donate at any time. So that pile of money is growing every day. So we can't wait to distribute that at the end.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Maybe a hard question, maybe not, but what is your opinion on the future of nonprofit bike collectives like yours?
Yeah, I think they are the future, Murph. Again, it's my day job working in the retail bike world. I just always think there's going to be a place for community shops. And I think what's so cool about a community shop is it's just not about the bikes, right? It can be about access. It can be about sustainability, dignity, connection, community. And in most cases, they're small spaces. They're doing huge work. And that's really the kind of infrastructure I think our communities need more of, right? Like, we need people to come together and to take care of one another. And I think that there's that whole sort of concept about a third place, right? So it's not home, it's not work. Like, what's your third place? And I think that community shops can absolutely be that third place for people, where they can find like-minded folks. They can spend their time volunteering. They can use it as a way to care for their community. And there's just so much need for that right now. And what a cool way to do it, like through the lens of cycling and through the lens of bikes, but having a much larger impact, than just getting on a bike and riding it. So I really do think that they are the future, not just of, cycling and riding a bike, but of how we can grow community and how we can come together as a community and to take care of one another and look after one another. And at the same time, look for ways to do things in a sustainable way, and look for a way to to maybe become less car dependent. So I mean, I could go on and on about this, but I think like those are kind of the biggies for me. And I'm so passionate about the a community bike shop world that it's I'm just super grateful to be a part of it, and can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
The perfect example is your typical Tuesday night where you have all these volunteers who maybe don't know each other, but they all share the common goal of either getting bikes fixed up or selling them or finding somebody who needs that bike. I can see how quickly that can go from strangers to a real sense of community.
It's really incredible. I really knew that we had something. This was maybe it was the last fall, but I really knew we had something when I showed up to a Tuesday night, volunteer night, and there's a group of folks standing around talking about a ride that they had all gone on over the weekend. A part of me was like, oh man, I didn't get the invite, first of all, but then also I was like, how cool is it that these folks who definitely did not know each other, I just sort of, I watched them all kind of join the organization, kind of throughout the year and from different walks of life. And there was there must have been a dozen of them that had gone on a bike camping trip. And I remember just taking a step back and looking at the group of people and being just in awe of just how incredible it was that group, this wildly diverse, eclectic, passionate group, all somehow organized this bike camping trip. And we're just talking about how incredible that experience was. And so I was like, all right, it's one thing to serve your community and to do some incredible things in that respect, but to see the community aspect, just really growing and blossoming within the space itself has just been a really cool thing to observe too.
Right. That's a perfect example too.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So will you tell us again the website? And we did talk a little bit before pushing record about different ways that you can donate, but do you want to kind of talk about those real quick?
Yeah, totally. So website, crbikehub.org. So check us out. Again, there's all kinds of information on there about the free bike programs. There's a link just to make a donation if you feel compelled. You'll also notice there's a banner at the top of the website where we just started selling some new merch, which is super exciting. Partnered with our friends at Bike Rags here in Cedar Rapids to do a very cool jersey and a cycling cap. We'll be ready for RAGBRAI. So for those of you that would like to rep the logo and the colors of the hub, go ahead and place your order. They're super cool. You can see pictures of them on our social media. I'll plug in there as well. But yeah, those are the easy ways to donate. But I would just encourage folks to stop down to the shop too. Again, if you've never seen it, or if you've seen other community bike shops and you want another experience, just coming down. We have volunteers that love to give tours, and I think that's the best way to really kind of understand what we're doing down there is just stop down and see us. So, yeah.
Well said. Well, thank you so much, Evan, for coming on the podcast and talking about Chain Reaction Bike Hub and just spreading the love of bike collectives.
Thank you so much for having me, Murph. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody out on the trails this summer.
Yeah. And of course, we've mentioned the website a couple times, but you can also go to RAGBRAI.com and click on Gives to find out more about how RAGBRAI is connecting with the bike shop. So, all right. Well, thanks, Evan.
Hey, thanks so much.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike!
Theme song by Ryan Steer. Logo by Suzanne Milosevic. Produced by Kathy Murphy. Social media by Andrea Parrott. Intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.